Here we'll focus on multiple alleles and what this refers to. This is a relatively simple idea, so this is how it works. In species, let's say a human person, we carry 23 sets of homologous chromosomes, or 22 sets of homologous chromosomes and a set of sex chromosomes. So on a homologous pair of chromosomes, let's say for example it's chromosome number 1, so we have two copies of it, a maternal chromosome and a paternal chromosome. Along the length of that chromosome we have exactly the same genes, all are found at the same loci along the length of that homologous pair of chromosomes. As we've talked about in previous tutorial, you might have the same or different alleles. You might have a big A and a big A allele, or you might have a big A and a little a allele, or you might have a little a and a little a allele, are the possible combinations. But in all circumstances, you only carry two copies of the allele because you only have two chromosomes to carry it on. So you have a pair of chromosome number 1. So you can only ever carry two alleles of chromosome A. You can't carry 3 or 4 or 5. You can only carry 2, unless there happens to be a third chromosome, which would be a very rare mutation or rare circumstance. But typically you would only carry 2 chromosomes, therefore 2 copies of the allele. So any one person can only carry 2 copies of an allele. However, in the total population of human beings, it may be that there is more than 2 alleles present. So one classic example of this is the alleles that determine blood typing in human beings. Here there are actually 3 different alleles in the human population. So in the human population, there's the I big A allele, which determines one of the proteins on blood cells. There's an I big B allele, which determines for a different kind of protein on blood cells. And there's a little I allele, which determines another circumstance to do with the blood cells. So in the human population, all 3 alleles are present. But in any one person, there are only 2 of these alleles present, because there's only 2 chromosomes that they could be carried on. So in a room full of 20 people, all 3 alleles may be present in that population, but any one person can only carry 2 of them. So this table over here kind of sums up the possible combinations. So by multiple alleles, we generally refer to the fact or mean that there is more than 2 alleles for a particular gene. That's more than 2 versions of the gene in the whole population. So over here, let's have a look. If you happen to be a person that carries the genotype IA, is shown here, then you will be blood type A, which means that all of your blood cells will only have the marker protein, the recognition protein A, on their surface. If you happen to carry the genotype I big A little I, so on your homologous pair of chromosomes, you'll have the I A allele here and the little I allele over here, then you will still be blood type A, because I big A is dominant over the allele little I. So you'll still be blood type A. If you happen to have the genotype I big B, then you will be blood type B, and all your blood cells will only carry the antigen related to that. If you happen to be I big B little I, same thing, I big B is dominant over little I, so again you'll just be blood type B. If you carry IAIB, then you will be blood type AB. Now this is an example of codominance, where each allele, I big A and I big B, is equally dominant So one is not dominant over the other, so one's not dominant and one's not recessive. They are equally dominant, and this refers to codominance. So this is a case of codominance, in which case both recognition proteins are made. So I big A allele produces one kind of protein, I big B produces the other kind of protein, and you'll have both kinds of proteins on the surface of your blood cells, and you'll be blood type AB. If you are genotype little I, so I'll draw that in up here, so you're little I, then you don't produce any protein in this particular case, and you are blood type O. So your blood cells do not have any recognition proteins related to blood typing on their surface. So this would be homozygous recessive. This is homozygous recessive. This is homozygous dominant. This is homozygous dominant. This is heterozygous. This is heterozygous. And this is codominance here.